Hello and welcome to the Guardian Football Weekly. Blimey, the stress of it all. Callum Wilson scores another injury time goal for West Ham. The London Stadium erupts and then VAR. Pablo's arm holding David Raya. Todibo holding his shirt, Rice holding Mavropanos, Trossard is holding Pablo. Imagine being an Arsenal fan, imagine being a West Ham fan, imagine being Darren England, imagine being Chris Kavanagh. Perhaps it would be more galling for West Ham if Arsenal had been pushing and pulling at corners all season. And so, 2 wins at home to Burnley and away to Palace, and Arsenal are champions. Meanwhile, West Ham's defeat means Forest and Leeds are safe. Let's hope Leeds went on an absolute tear-up before Spurs away tonight. Also today, more booze for Arne Slot. Bournemouth put a little pressure on the top 5 and advantage Celtic in Fitba. Until injury time at the London Stadium, the biggest story of the weekend was in the bushes near Middlesbrough. We'll talk Spygate 2.0. There's the rest of the playoffs. You could do a whole pod on the Rochdale-Boreham Wood playoff final. There's the Women's FA Cup semis. Basically too much football to fit in today. We'll take your questions, and that's today's Guardian Football Weekly. On the panel today, Barry Glendenning. Hello.
Hi, Max.
And welcome, Robyn Cowen.
Hi, Max.
And bonjour, ça va, Philippe Auclair.
Ça va beaucoup mieux, Max. Beaucoup mieux.
Ah, exactement. Okay, then. Let's start the London Stadium. West Ham 0, Arsenal 1. Doesn't really tell the whole story. Mutt says, why did VAR get it right and why is everyone complaining? Maffa the Laffer says, the cynic in me says Arsenal have scored that goal 10 times this season. What's changed? And Ian Wright said, Chris Kavanagh's after review with the sweetest word since Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream. Philippe, how was it? As someone with a dog in the fight, Philippe, how was it for you?
It was unbearable. It was absolutely unbearable. You remember that program when they wired up, I think it was Sam Allardyce, for a game to check out what was happening to the manager's pulse during a game? I think if they had wired me up, I would basically have had the same readings. And I think if you had wired up all the Arsenal fans who were watching that game, you probably would have enough energy to keep the country going for 1 year if you could somehow get the electrical impulses. It was, it was absolutely unbearable. And it was very fitting, I think, as well, because it's almost like the whole season went encapsulated in, 101 minutes or whatever it was. But yeah, it was totally unbearable and a great case to be made for defibrillators being installed absolutely everywhere Arsenal plays, or in every home when Arsenal plays, if you're an Arsenal supporter or a West Ham supporter, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, like Barney got it quite right, Robyn, when he said, they had it's up for grabs now. They had Aguero, drink it in. And now we've got after review. And I suppose, look, he looked at the screen 17 times. The replay was played 17 times across 2.5 minutes. And obviously there's so much riding on this decision. And I guess the official's job, Darren England, the VAR, and Chris Kavanagh, is to take out that all away and go, is this a foul? And did they get it right?
Well, it was a foul, wasn't it? But there was also an awful lot going on around it. Oh, God. I mean, I'm already quite tired, Max, but this is this is so much. I got to say, actually, I watched Match Today this morning and I thought, Danny Murphy's comment about this isn't Arsenal's problem. Like, yes, maybe they've got away with some, but, they got away with them. And it's, who cares really? I'm sure that Arsenal fans wouldn't. I just feel like it's kind of, again, exposed VAR as a kind of... It's a subjective call, isn't it? It's subjective. And it's just another layer of subjectivity. What was it clear and obvious? That's debatable. Could there have been other decisions given? Debatable. There were lots of other holding going on. I mean, yeah, ultimately the decision was correct, but yeah, I can understand why fans of other teams are kind of going down the whataboutery route as well. I'm also going to make a prediction that over the summer we will get an edict come down from PGMO saying this is going to stop. It's ridiculous, and we're going to clamp down on it next season, and it will last for about 3 weeks, and then it will go back to how it is.
I mean, Nuno said it's the lack of consistency. Everybody's lost a bit of what is a foul and what isn't a foul. I thought he was quite measured. Arteta said the referees had a lot of courage. I think no one would disagree it's a foul because Raya almost has the ball in his hands, and he said, to make a call and change the course of one of the two teams, what a responsibility. I suppose, Barry, it's a sign of how stressful that job is as an official. Because you don't have a lot of time, even if it took 5 minutes, and whatever you do, it's going to be fury somewhere.
Yeah, first of all, I have to applaud Arsenal's ability to just put their fans through the ringer and the meat grinder over and over again. If I was a gooner, my soul would have left my body when that Callum Wilson goal shot across the line. Arteta's comments after the game, I think he's only saying that because the decision ultimately went his way. And I think if it had gone against him, he wouldn't be quite so kind. Was it a foul on Raya? Yes, no doubt about that. But I think the issue some people have is the number of other fouls that were also being committed in the penalty area by Arsenal players, also by West Ham players, went unpunished, but that one was punished. And Shay Given quizzed Darren Cann about this on Match of the Day last night.
They brought the referee into the studio, Barry. They took an official out of the cupboard. It was in emergency break glass. There's Darren Cann.
Yeah. And Darren Cann said when two incidents happen, now I would argue there was 6 or even 7 incidents in this farce. He said when 2 incidents happen, it's the one that has the material impact that will be judged. Now, that's fair enough, but I'd be fairly confident some other former official will come out and contradict Cann before the day is out. So, look, there's no doubt it was a foul on Raya, but I'm not quite sure why that particular foul goes punished and the rest of them don't. And as I said, there were West Ham players also committing fouls at that corner. Like Thomas Soucek was grappling with Zubamendi. We all saw Declan Rice rugby tackle Mavropanos into the back of the net. Pablo on Raya, obviously. Odegaard was wrestling with Todibo, while Todibo was also fouling Raya. So, to go back to your original question, I do not envy any VAR or match or referee having to try to pick the bones out of that.
It's like a sort of Caravaggio orgy, isn't it? Darren Cann did make a point, Philippe. He suggested on Match of the Day that a rule comes in where no attacking player is allowed in the 6-yard box until the corner is taken. So that means the sort of grappling either happens outside of the 6-yard box or it just means the keeper has a bit of space. And I don't when anyone ever suggests a rule change, everyone just goes, no, you can't do it. It's terrible. I don't intrinsically hate that idea.
No. It would become, basically it would be the equivalent of the encroachment rule on penalty kicks. And there is nothing really wrong apart from the monitoring of the encroachment, which would be much more complicated in the case of a corner kick, for example, than it is in the case of a penalty. There is something to be said for that. I won't be the devil's advocate. I'm going to be the angel's advocate here. I do think they got it right. And I also think that the type of foul that led to the goal being disallowed is so egregious in a way. I'd like, actually, try to remember, if you can, because it's chaos, obviously, we're trying to make sense of here. Another occasion this season where you had that type of foul committed on the goalkeeper by Arsenal or by any other club. And I've seen, cases where goalkeepers have been impeded, as in they couldn't go towards the ball. This is different. He's really literally pushing his arm down as he's about to catch the ball or punch it. That is really clear and obvious. And the fact that the referee, the on-pitch referee, is not saying immediately, no, come on, guys, there's a foul. First of all, good luck for anybody who would be, the ref cam. That's about the only thing that it's the only purpose it serves. When they use it, you realize this is chaos all around those guys. And also, there is this thing: if I get it wrong, it will be corrected, which is become the default behavior, I think, of quite a few referees in the Premier League. We saw that as well in the Fulham game, where there were 2 red cards given, which were, I think, completely obvious, should have been given on the pitch. It just thought the referee thought, listen, I'm going to give a yellow card. They can always tell me if I didn't get it right. So it's a kind of insurance policy. So in this particular case, I think I can understand if I were a West Ham supporter, because I think in many ways this decision is of more consequence on West Ham than it is on Arsenal. Because a relegation, losing out on the title, which, by the way, Arsenal wouldn't have lost out on the title. Manchester City still has to go to Bournemouth, which is bloody hell, very hard indeed. And anything could happen. But in the case of West Ham, I mean, that's a sickener. That's an absolute sickener. So I think you can feel sympathy for everybody involved. And I think perhaps we should, move back a little bit and say the right decision was taken. It was a foul. It was the most consequential foul of them all in the box at the time. The right decision was given, but the consequences are absolutely huge. And this is the problem. The problem becomes, it's not the game. It's not even the incident. The problem is about the consequential, the consequences of using VAR in those particular situations. And which goes way beyond even the title or the relegation, is the fact that obviously the system doesn't quite work as it should work. And that there is a real problem in particular with free kicks, dead ball situations, basically, which is why at least I think they have tried out actually the encroachment rule in a couple of tournaments, and it worked out okay. Whether it would work okay in a game which has got so many consequences hanging on to it, I don't know, but probably worth a try, because the fact that we're all talking about it and we cannot not talk about it is an indication that there's something here which is deeply wrong, because we should be talking about, there were plenty of other things to talk about in this game. Be it about West Ham, being about Arsenal, which are admirable things or not so admirable things, but they go in the background, and that in itself is bad.
Arsenal have scored 27 goals from set pieces. I mean, I pity the person, probably at Athletic, who has to watch all of those and find all the fouls to do a big piece about that. I mean, the drama is there. I mean, I suspect we all put VAR in the bin, Robyn, but it is still amazingly dramatic. That whole, the theatre of that is dramatic. I'm not saying I like it, because I don't like VAR. I don't know what the question is, really, apart from I just found the whole thing sort of slightly overwhelming. And as a Tottenham fan, I was sort of slightly conflicted, because I was like, maybe a point, maybe that's okay. Tottenham could still survive, and Arsenal, mess it up, and that's funny. But I don't know. It was just as you said, it was sort of exhausting, but absolutely thrilling.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. I think it is quite. Just as someone who's got no skin in this game at all, it is kind of the sort of ceremony of the VAR has kind of added something, usually to piss people off, and especially those in the stadium. It's not really worked in that sense. And you're right, the after review, it's all, I don't think that's necessary. I think if they had the voice of the guy who does the movie voiceovers, maybe. But it's always they always sound so timid and like they don't want to be doing this and to be heard in the stadium. I don't think that adds much to it. But yeah, it's it's here to stay. It's not gonna go anywhere, is it? I just feel like I was very much for it when it came in. I'm not sure it's worked. But you got to say, as Philippe said, it came to the right decision. But it's just it is just tedious, and I feel like it's more the debate, and the C word, consistency, keeps coming up. It's like you just can't have that. It's not possible. You can't have that. You want it within a game, yes, within 90 minutes you'd like it, consistency, but you just can't have it, in every single match in the Premier League.
Maybe it's a kind of cumulative thing where they have to stop the play and go, look, if West Ham are committing 4 fouls and Arsenal 3, then West Ham get the benefit. So you're looking at all these different things, and then 2 hours later, you get the result.
I'm just wondering, like, just for the sake of argument, could he have done after review and chalked off the goal, and then said after further review and awarded
penalty.
West Ham a penalty, say for one of the blocking, shoving, dragging incidents? I don't know is the answer.
That would have been amazing.
Putting it out there.
It would have been amazing theatre, wouldn't it? I mean, and also just to feel for Callum Wilson, because he strikes that ball so brilliantly, and he has scored a couple of really crucial goals for West Ham.
Well, I mean, hats off to Gabriel as well, because it was his block on another good Callum Wilson shot that led to the corner that has got everyone talking.
Well, and David also, Raya as well. You know, David Raya, he's basically, I know it's been a team effort, but I don't think Arsenal win the title without him. Honestly, he's been absolutely sensational. He made that save for Mateus Fernandes, who was through, didn't he? And that's the first one of several, that he's made over the season. Like, really saves that you really possibly wouldn't expect keepers to make. He's been absolutely sensational.
Yeah, and actually Fernandes has so much goal over there, Philippe, to put it in. And it's such a crucial few minutes, isn't it? Because he misses and then Trossard scores. But Raya does so well there to kind of not... I don't know, because it's sort of like, it's counterintuitive to not commit yourself, because there's so much goal and but he does so well to sort of put doubt in Fernandez's mind.
And the thing is that the fact that you can see, it's quite extraordinary, because he's rooted to the spot. And usually when a keeper is rooted to the spot, it means that he's thinking, oh shit, I don't stand a chance here. And he tenses up. He doesn't. He's super relaxed. He doesn't move. And in fact, you can almost feel Mateus Fernandes thinking, well, the keeper's going to do something. The keeper's going to do something. By the time he realizes, shit, I'd better shoot. He's too close. And he's got, a fantastic reaction. Robyn, I couldn't agree more with you. I think he's the player of the season for me for Arsenal, ahead of Declan Rice or Gabriel. He's the reason. His Golden Gloves for the third season in a row, which is insane. He's only 6'1", but he's superb in the air as well on his line. His distribution is the best that I've seen this season. He's the best keeper in England. He's the best keeper in Europe. And for me, there's absolutely no doubt about that whatsoever. And the fact that he doesn't play for Spain is one of the biggest mysteries in contemporary football. There's some other decent ones, but he's absolutely extraordinary. And his save was absolutely phenomenal. Not just that save, but as well on the other corner kicks. The way he's able, despite being 6'1", being able to punch the ball as he does every single time, like 30 yards out. This guy's at the absolute top of his profession.
I certainly wasn't one saying, I don't think he's as good as Aaron Ramsdale about 4 years ago. But, we all make mistakes. Okay, then, Barry. Arsenal have 79 points from 36. Man City have 74 from 35. But does that Arsenal performance, they could have scored a lot in the first 20 minutes, but then they did. I don't know if Arteta made a mistake taking Rice out of midfield and then corrected it, put him back in, and Odegaard made a big difference coming on. But did you see enough kind of there to think actually it's not totally done? Like there'll be a little bit of them going, oh, Burnley played okay at the weekend. Palace might be good. I don't know.
No, I thought it was done before this game, and I certainly think it is now. I thought Arsenal would win a lot more comfortably than they did yesterday. But I can't see them messing it up.
If I'm trying to be neutral, if I try to bring my heartbeat down to a manageable level, if I put on my fair, objective observer's suit on, yes, it's done. I think so. On paper, it's done. If I realize, if I go back and my soul goes back into my body, as Barry said, I think there's going to be more pain, because you never know, because you could, for example, a red card in the 7th minute, a team that's already relegated and starts playing really well, as we've seen Wolves, for example, do this year, when honestly they didn't have a chance in hell, and suddenly they get a few fantastic performances. Anything is possible. I don't expect, for example, I think Villa will completely fold up against Man City in the last game. I don't think there's any chance they will do anything. And for me, it will all depend on that game at Bournemouth for Manchester City, which is an incredibly difficult game against one of the informed teams of the season. But on one hand, yes, I mean they really are in the driving seat, and Manchester City has receded from the mirror. But it ain't done before it is done. You can still do a Bayer Leverkusen. It's never too late to do Bayer Leverkusen.
Yeah. Meanwhile, at the bottom, that result means, Robyn, that Leeds and Forest are definitely safe. So it is a two-horse race. West Ham have 36 points from 36 games. Tottenham have 37 points from 35 games. So, as I've said, hopefully Leeds went and got absolutely shit-faced last night. You know, I don't know who led it. Calvert-Lewin just said, come on, boys, we're safe. Who cares about Tottenham away? Opta only has West Ham a 12% chance of survival. I don't think it's done, but do you, as a more objective viewer, think, okay, it's done?
I wouldn't say it's done, but I think that's probably accurate, just in terms of Spurs just look more confident. They look like they're playing with a bit more clarity under De Zerbi. Just the fact that they're not in the relegation zone now is a big thing. So yeah, it would take like another collapse from Spurs, I think, which is, I'm kind of a bit, you know, again, I have no allegiance to either of these sides, but I do think it's a bit sad. So I do think Nuno really did, he kind of he gave them a puncher's chance, didn't he, West Ham United? And they've been slightly unlucky, but then they've turned in a couple of not great performances. Just before the international break, I did their game against Aston Villa where they weren't very good, and then just not clinical enough against Brentford, you know, big defeat there. So, yeah, it looks like there will be, it's going to be West Ham. But, yeah, it's really fascinating tonight because, yes, Leeds might be hungover, but that is going to be a buoyant stadium, isn't it? And they can play with a bit of freedom, and whether that means that they're going to try some weird stuff and that will let Spurs in, or they'll just be like free flowing and absolutely batter Spurs. It's just going to be interesting to see how they approach it.
It's terrifying. Man City beat Brentford 3-0 on Saturday, moving them 2 points behind Arsenal until the West Ham game. They didn't score until the hour mark, Barry. We don't need to do a whole lot on this, but I wonder what your take on it was.
Again, like Arsenal against West Ham, I thought they made heavy-ish weather of it, and they looked a bit nervy until Doku scored what is becoming his signature goal now, again. And as soon as that purled into the top corner, that was it. There was never any danger of them not winning, and they went on to score two more. So it wasn't a brilliant City performance, but they did enough, and that goal from Doku clearly settled their nerves, and then they rolled their sleeves up.
Yeah, Pep said, if you want to become a better player, you have to win games for yourself. It's not enough to make crosses for other ones. You have to win games and score goals. At Everton, the goal for 3-3 was the right foot. The first goal was the left. He made an incredible step in that sense to say, I'm Jeremy Doku. I'm going to win games. The big players always have that mentality.
Oh, just on, there was a couple of issues that Arsenal fans, I think, would have, you know, Bernardo Silva, the sort of toddler, sort of hitting the leg of Nathan Collins. Like when I tell my son he can't have ice cream at 9 a.m, that was a bit like that. The sort of swipe at the leg. And I don't know. I mean, if he got sent off for that, I'd feel a bit, maybe just a timeout would have been sufficient.
Yeah,
and there was also a slight penalty, maybe not, you know, but yeah, a deserved win, but yeah, I think Barry's right. They weren't very convincing until that Doku goal.
Yeah, someone made a good point on social media that, you know, perhaps Bernardo Silva was just so much smaller than Nathan Collins that he has to really deliver like an almighty blow for it to count as some kind of punishment. Anyway, that'll do for part one. Part two, we'll begin at Anfield. Welcome to part two of the Guardian Football Weekly. So the top of the table, below the top two, Man United 65 from 36. They're in the Champions League for sure. Liverpool have 59 from 36, as do Villa. Bournemouth 55. Then Brighton 53, Brentford 51, Chelsea 49. Liverpool 1, Chelsea 1. And Barry, boos for Arne Slot throughout this game. Not through the whole game, but, you know, at key moments.
Yeah, he was booed when he took off Rio Ngamoa and said afterwards that he knew that was going to happen, but that Ngamoa had indicated to him that he had cramp and wasn't able to continue. And then there were boos at the end, which I think were probably deserved. And boos at Anfield seem less pantomimish than, say, boos elsewhere. So it's worrying for Slot. And they weren't good. I mean, they started well, and they scored, went ahead through that lovely Ryan Gravenberch strike. Then Enzo Fernandez / Wesley Fofana equalised for Chelsea. And after that, it was all Chelsea. And this is not a good Chelsea team. It's very disjointed. They came into the game on the back of 6 consecutive defeats. And they took over from there. And I think they were probably a little unlucky not to win the game. Each team had a goal correctly disallowed for offside in the second half. But it was an interesting game between two big teams whose supporters are both very dissatisfied with how things are going at their respective clubs. And I think Callum McFarlane will have emerged from the game with a lot more credit than Arne Slot. Because Arne Slot, Chelsea were missing 5 wingers. So they played Cucurella in a more advanced role as a kind of wing back. He was brilliant throughout. And because they didn't have much width, the midfield was quite congested, and Arne Slot admitted afterwards that, we couldn't figure out how to play through them. And it's like, well, Arne, that's kind of your job.
God, Chelsea missing 5 wingers. I presume they'd have like 20 more. I saw they were rumoured to be in for Ethan Nwaneri, and you thought they can't be going for it. Just stop buying attacking wide players. Just please, young ones, stop doing it. Now, Robyn, I suggested to Barry yesterday that Arne Slot felt a bit like the air of Keir Starmer, like, not a terrible bloke, not all his fault, but it's just people just aren't having it. They're not having him. And I feel that with Slot a bit. They're just not having him. Barry did point out that he thinks Slot's done a better job than Starmer. Someone texted to say, I think Klopp left Liverpool in a slightly better state than the Tories left the country in. But the point remains that I'm just not sure the Liverpool fans they're just not feeling it at all, are they?
Well, as a BBC employee, I of course can't comment on any of that sort
of
stuff. But that's a great little conversation that you guys had on TalkSport. It's an interesting one in terms of what do they do, because clearly I think it sounds like the board want to keep him for a number of reasons, financial and just, a bit of consistency and to give him a bit more of a chance. But yeah, the tide has turned, doesn't it? As Barry was alluding to, there were boos. There's one thing, kind of social media sort of dissent, but it's when the fans inside the stadium are turning, that's kind of an indication. But how much should you listen to supporters, to make a decision? Difficult, isn't it? And, he did deliver them the title. We've gone through many of the issues that have arisen this season. He possibly hasn't helped himself with comments like Barry alluded to there, about, we find this difficult, when it's like, well, yeah, you need to find a solution. So I feel a bit sorry for the guy, but it feels like if he is there next season, he probably won't be there long, because if they start badly, then it'll just be toxic, won't it? So yeah, it's just be interesting what the decision might be.
There's one thing that surprised me in that game, which by the way was of very, very poor quality, I thought. Certainly not the kind of technical level we would expect from two sides like that. It's the fact that Liverpool haven't qualified for the Champions League yet. You look at what they've got to do. And did you see any of the urgency that you would expect from the players on the pitch when you know that you've got a place in the top 5 for the Champions League, which is definitely not done if you look at what they've got left, especially they're playing Villa. Villa and Bournemouth can overtake them. And did you feel any urgency? None. Absolutely zero. And zero intensity. And I'm a little bit, when it comes to Slot at Liverpool, I remember what we were all talking about last year. We were saying he's done the impossible thing, which is to take over a team which is not really his and turn it into a champion by becoming more pragmatic, by showing a Liverpool that is versatile, that can attack, that can defend, that is balanced and so forth. And then it's totally unraveled this season. Now, totally unraveled. It's gone down. And because of his demeanor, I actually think that the man has behaved with great amount of dignity and frankness throughout the year. They've had a rotten time with so many things, particularly with injuries. And I think maybe we have got to take that into consideration, and maybe that's why the Liverpool board is thinking, well, hold on a minute. Not everything has gone according to plan this season, and there have been loads of problems. There was the Salah problem, there's the Isak problem, there's the Ekitike problem, there's loads and loads of problems. And also there was the Mark Gay problem as well, which is the fact that they didn't land the player that they perhaps needed the most. So you put all that together, and maybe you can be a little bit more philosophical about it. But again, the lack of intensity really surprised me when I think that there is a lot. This is not a game that is of no importance. It's not an end of the season. Well, we've qualified for Europe already, so foot off the gas, blah, blah, blah. It was not one of those. And that is worrying, I think.
Liverpool have got Villa then and Brentford left to play. Villa have Liverpool and City to play, and Bournemouth have City and Forest to play. I mean, it would be quite extraordinary, Robyn, if Bournemouth managed to get into the top 5, given they're 4 points behind with 2 games to go. But I guess it's not inconceivable.
Not at all, because they're on this incredible run, aren't they? They can't be beaten really at the moment, and it's just, again, it's, the coach has said he's leaving, Andoni Iraola, and nothing's happened. They're still performing to a really great level. I think it just shows it's just a really well-run club. I do wonder about his decision to leave, especially if they get into the Champions League and he's thinking, I'm not going to be taking them. Because they were, if we're going to go on to Fulham against Bournemouth, they were
do.
Yeah, it was kind of, it could have gone either way.
It's almost like you've hosted this podcast before.
Well, it could have gone either way, couldn't it? It was a kind of narrow win for them. 2 red cards, as Philippe alluded to earlier, sort of both of them possibly should have been given in the first instance. I know some people saying Anderson might have been a bit unlucky, but I think when you see it back, he was
what's he doing? Well, they're 10 against 11.
Madness.
It's insane challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, no madness, sort of off the floor. And that was after Ryan Christie. It was great. They had a little shot of Steve Clark, who always looks pretty annoyed. He was just like, yeah, don't be doing that. Don't be doing that in the summer, please, Ryan. I think Ryan scored the goal for Bournemouth. It looked like Bernardo possibly should have saved it, but maybe took a nick on its way through. And yeah, it's just again, Bournemouth just really well run. And yeah, it's just, as I say, Iraola, they've already got a new guy in place. But I just wonder if they get into the Champions League, if he'll start to sort of look a bit regretful. I'm not sure.
Yeah, can he say to Marco Rosa, actually, mate, I'm not, like when the house falls through. It's just fallen through. And he's like, what? I thought I was... No, I mean, look, Villa, Villa are in the Europa League final. Obviously, that they hammered Forest on Thursday night after we last recorded, which is a massive result for them. And they play Freiburg, and they'll be big favourites, Barry, for that. But they couldn't beat Burnley, who did play with a bit of freedom. I was thinking ahead to the Arsenal game. So it'll be really interesting to see what Villa do in these last 2 games, of course, because the Europa League final is sandwiched between Liverpool at home and then Man City away.
Yeah, I mean, they're 2 tough games. Unai Emery, I'd imagine he was upset with the result against Burnley, but he wasn't upset by the performance. Most of the players who played against Forest on Thursday featured here as well, and they weren't terrible. And Burnley, I think, were much better than everyone expected. Burnley did miss a couple of good chances. Ian Fleming missed 2 he probably should have scored before he did score, and not a catastrophic result for Villa, but yeah, Liverpool home, City away, they're tricky enough. But I guess, what do they need from that? 2 points, 3?
Yeah, probably 2. To be sure, if I could do the maths quickly, I mean, the most that Bournemouth can get is 58-61. So 1 win will do it for them, won't it?
It just feels like they've chucked in the Premier League, Villa.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Putting their eggs in
but yeah, Emery knows what he's doing. And actually, that performance was brilliant against Forest, wasn't it, Robyn? And John McGinn, who's so crucial to them, like his 2 goals were both brilliant in this game, I thought.
Man, I mean, I think he might be. I mean, it's kind of recency bias. He might be one of the most important players Villa have had. He's just, he signed from Hibs in 2018 when they were in the Championship, and he's now he's captain. He's been there for ages, and he's so important. When he's not there, they just don't perform. They don't function as well. What a player. And yeah, it was one of those games where Forest just were powerless, weren't they, to prevent what was happening to them. I just think. And I know Unai Emery is, a specialist in winning this tournament, but it's a one-off game. They will be favourites against Freiburg. I just feel like they do need to secure that Champions League in the Premier League. And they all look just like they drop their level a bit. And they're sort of waiting for this final. And yeah, Liverpool at home, and then it's the final, and then it's away to Man City. So
yeah. And also a bit like Arsenal in the Champions League. If Villa go into that game with Champions League confirmed, it changes how they play it. Whereas if Arsenal have won the Premier League and they go in the Champions League final, it's a totally different vibe to to what happens if they don't win it from here. Brighton beat Wolves 3-0. We're not going to give it hours of time, but Brighton are on a very good run, aren't they? If you remember, Hurtsler was under pressure at some point earlier in the season. They are in 7th, 2 points behind Bournemouth. Yes, Philippe.
Yeah, no, I wanted to make a point of that because I was remembering, all this Fabian Hurtsler is under pressure, is criticized. I was wondering, well, when was that? And that was in February. That was like yesterday when they had a series. They only won one game out of 13 between the 30th of November 2025 and the 21st of February of 2026. And at the time, people were saying that he was running out of time and was under pressure for his job. And I think many people are feeling a bit silly now. But one win out of 13 and to be in the position they are now, obviously, that's actually a great quality for a manager, is to be able to actually right the ship as he did, and did it with conviction and playing some rather lovely football.
A new 3-year deal as well to keep him there till 2029.
Wolves had kickoff and they also had a throw-in and they still conceded after 35 seconds, which is pretty impressive.
Edwards used the word to describe the beginning of the game, which I'd never heard a manager. He didn't say it was bad or terrible. He said it was despicable. You don't hear that very often. A despicable start to the game.
Right, that'll do for part 2. Part 3, we'll rattle through the Premier League and then we'll do Fitba Corner, EFL, Women's FA Cup semi-finals and more. Welcome to part 3 of the Guardian Football Weekly. So Palace 2, Everton 2 in a game that doesn't mean a whole lot. Everton are without a win in 5 or so. So they've slipped out of the chance to get into the Champions League. Could still get Europe. It was a really good game, Barry, this wasn't it? And on a different day, maybe we'd give it more than the 30 seconds I'm allotting to you.
Yes, it was a good game. James Tarkowski scored a goal that wasn't with his head, which is probably a quite rare occurrence. Thomas Tuchel was there to watch probably two of England's goalkeepers. I would say Jordan Pickford was the more impressive of the two. If Iliman Ndiaye's international manager was present, he will be concerned by the number of chances Iliman is missing at the moment. He could have had 3 or 4 in Everton's last game, and he should have scored here as well, 1 or 2, I think. Adam Wharton obviously will have caught Tuchel's eye. He sent a long-range effort fizzing narrowly wide of the upright. I would say a draw was probably the fair result. Beto, who I have criticised in the past, he has hit a rich vein of form. I still think Everton are going to be in the market for the striker next season, but Beto and Tierno Berry have both improved as the season has progressed, but I'm still not sure David Moyes quite fancies either of them.
Palace are into the Conference League final. As we expected, they beat Shakhtar Donetsk 2-1 on Thursday night. So they play Rayo Vallecano on the 27th of May. And Sid saying them getting to a European final is the greatest thing of all time. And he's on the pod tomorrow, so we will talk to him about their journey. Forest drew with Newcastle. It means they're safe. Elliot Anderson scoring late on against his former club. And it was a great goal. 2 lovely goals actually in this game, Philippe, I thought.
Yeah, well, particularly the Anderson goal was remarkable, especially considering the state he was in at the time, because I've never seen a player celebrating by cramping in both legs as he did.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I
it was
know.
the end of the end at the end of his tether no, an absolutely remarkable one. And another example of why he probably won't be with that club next season, because he's going to be snapped up, isn't he?
Probably
Yeah, I
worth
think so.
noting he buried his mum on, I think it was Thursday or Friday as well, or would it be Friday? I think so. Not. He's showed a tremendous amount of character in the last few weeks.
Yeah, you saw it with his celebration. He was, and we send our love to him, of course. Sunderland 0, Manchester United 0. Philippe, you wanted a word on Bruno Fernandes winning the Football Writers' Football of the Year. Did he get your vote?
No, because I thought I hesitated between Declan Rice and David Raya, because I wouldn't say that it's not a scandal, because he's been absolutely fantastic in a team that has been far from fantastic from the beginning of the season. It's an individual award, so you can understand that. But I think because there's been quite a lot of controversy about it, and a bit silly controversy, I must say. One of the problems of those awards is the fact that it's the voting system. When you vote for one person and you've got a team like Arsenal, in which you've got not one outstanding player, but you've got 3 or 4 who are going to divide the vote, it's obviously going to favour the players who are quite simply heads and shoulders over everybody else. So, as Bruno Fernandes is with Manchester United, who are back in the Champions League. And if they are back in the Champions League, it's not just because of Michael Carrick, it's especially because of this man, Bruno Fernandes. So it's not a scandal, but I didn't vote for him.
Most of the outrage over the Football Writers Association award seems to be generated by people who have little or no time for any football writers. So I'm not sure why they're that bothered by what the Football Writers are saying. I'm not a member of the Football Writers Association, so I didn't vote for anyone, but I could kind of see, I think Philippe has explained adequately why it wasn't ridiculous that Bruno Fernandes got it.
It's almost like individual awards aren't really the point of football, isn't it?
Yeah.
But anyway, to Scotland then. So on Saturday, Hearts went to Motherwell, which is not an easy game. They were 1-0 down. They drew 1 apiece, but they couldn't get a winner. And then Celtic played Rangers on Sunday afternoon. Rangers took the lead, and then Celtic eventually won it 3-1, including Barry, an absolutely amazing overhead kick from Daisy Maeda. And so with 2 games to go, Hearts have 77 and Celtic have 76, and they have to play each other on the final day of the season.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? I think everyone, with a few notable exceptions, wants Hearts to win it. Everyone wants a final day showdown. I believe Celtic are now favourites to win the title. I hope they don't. I've no beef with Celtic at all. I just love to see Hearts win it. I want to see you and Murray happy. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
He was like a different person on the
I want
pod
to see
last
what
week.
it's like. Happy you and Murray. My aid overhead kick was sensational. So if you haven't seen it, seek it out.
Yeah, do. Right, let's get to Spygate. So look, Borough and Southampton drew 0-0. Before that, Hull drew 0-0 with Millwall. So the second legs are tonight and tomorrow, all to play for. But the EFL has charged Southampton with spying on Middlesbrough. A Southampton performance analyst is alleged to have recorded Middlesbrough training and taking pictures of tactics on Thursday morning. He was caught in the bushes, or he was chanced upon by a Middlesbrough, one of the Middlesbrough coaching staff. Apparently, he ran away, ran into a little house and changed into a separate outfit he had. Southampton football. The EFL released a statement saying that Southampton has been charged with a breach of EFL regulations, and then other clubs since that have shared with The Guardian their surprise The ease with which Southampton adapted to supposedly unexpected team shapes and appeared to second-guess set-piece routines during an unbeaten run of 19 games towards the end of the season. So yes, Tonde Eckhart, you saw this idea of, there's so many parts to this, Robyn, which are, it is cheating, but it's also incredibly funny. Southampton players like constantly playing matches and going, how did he know that? Like, how did he possibly know Birmingham were going to do this? How did he know that Wrexham? How did he know that Sheffield United were going to do this? And then you've obviously got just a man in the bushes. Like, and then Southampton's saying, of which I don't know if they're sticking to this for now, is he was a lone wolf. Like, at Southampton training, someone went, anyone know where Alan is? Where's Alan gone? And they're like, he's just thinking, I'm doing it. Oh, they'll be super proud of me. Anyway, it's
very Ted Lasso. You can imagine Nick Mohammed's character
totally.
be hiding in a bush.
Essentially, football is a soap opera, right? This is why we all love football. And this is a repeat storyline, isn't it? This is bringing Dirty Den back, right? So they've run out of ideas, football. The only big twist left is that it's actually Marcelo Bielsa. For some reason, he's doing it. Don't know why, just in his spare time. They're bringing back Harold Bishop. It's just, you're right, Max. It's cheating. It's also so funny and just feed it to my veins. I just love all this stuff. And yes, maybe they've got an advantage, but Borough had 21 shots in this game, and this has been the story of their season, that they're just a bit wasteful. And I'm not sure how much spying would have, prevented that. Maybe they know exactly where they're going to shoot and they need to be in the right position. But yeah, it's obviously, Middlesbrough are going to take this very seriously. But yeah, it's great stuff, isn't it? It's great stuff for us neutrals.
What is the punishment? What is the punishment for spying in football?
Well, when Bielsa did it, the Leeds derby playoff, there was no precedent and there was nothing in the rules, I think, because they just never thought anyone would be bothered to go to someone's training ground with some binoculars. And then obviously Bielsa just said, yeah, of course, why wouldn't I do it? Which is different to how Southampton have reacted. And he got a £200,000 fine, or Leeds did, and he paid it himself. But since then, the punishment has been brought in. And the interesting thing is, Borough boss Kim Helberg argues that a fine would be insufficient, because you get to the Premier League, it's what, £200 million now. And so what do they do? Like it's egregious enough, Barry, that I don't think they could have, if they're found guilty, I don't think that they could have complaints for being thrown out. However funny it is, it's also cheating. Like they could find that out. Someone suggested to us yesterday that Middlesbrough should have a penalty for the first kick of the second leg, which I think would be amazing.
I don't think they could have any complaints about being slung out. They obviously would complain, but I think those complaints would be spurious. But then there's also the case that Chelsea have been caught cheating on a mass scale. They got a fine. Manchester City are accused of cheating on an industrial level over several years. We don't know yet what's going to happen to them. Is a man standing in a bush with a pair of binoculars more or less serious than the other kind of, financial chicanery and doohickery? Probably not. But I totally get Kim Helberg's anger. And I thought Tonde Eckhart, his manner of dealing with it in his post-match press conference, which was basically to refuse to answer questions, was poor. He was probably acting on instructions from his overlords. So, but yeah, I definitely think there's a case for them to be slung out of the playoffs and just for Middlesbrough to get the spot in the final. And if it turns out that this isn't a one-off event, then absolutely throw the book at them.
Wasn't that the case that it happened? Something similar happened in Formula One, and with spying as well on the and that was taken very seriously. And in fact, yes, I mean, I would like. My memory tells me, my very bad memory tells me that the team that was responsible for that actually was deducted points. And I have to say that if it is proven, and if they've done it on a regularly as well throughout the season, I agree with Barry. It's really funny, And it's not funny at all at the same time when you know what depends, what hangs on that particular game. So,
Yeah. I, with Formula One, I'm just reporting back, and it's true. McLaren cars go really fast. Is that what the spying was? I've come back, and the Brabhams are going really quickly, guys. We've got to watch it.
No, it would all be car design.
I know. I was
stuff.
being facetious. It was a joke. It didn't land, but you can't.
Sorry,
you
man.
can't win them all. You can't win them all. That's okay. Yeah, no, and I suppose reputationally for Tondra Eckhart, if it turns out that he's basically just a spy, he's not actually a football manager at all. Like,
he's done a really good job of disguising himself as a football manager.
Yeah,
he's Jackson Lamb. It's just one dirty trick after another.
Just sitting there farting away, in his office, stuck in Southampton. Yeah, I mean, it's an extraordinary story. We did suggest maybe, when it broke on Saturday and we're on the radio, we're like, maybe they should all he should dress as Columbo or Miss Marple or Magnum or, not a detective, actually needs to be a spy, of course. We were trying to think of someone who wasn't James Bond. But I suppose another interesting point that we don't know is how high up does it go? Is it a lone wolf? Seems unlikely. Is it from the manager? Like, how many people up the chain know? Because Kim Hellberg actually spoke really well, Barry, I thought, when he said, look, it's not the players and it's certainly not the fans. It's a bit like you don't control who owns your club. You certainly don't control who goes spying on behalf of your club, do you?
Well, the lone wolf is clearly imparting his information to somebody else. So who is getting
it's
the
not for his own
information
records, is it?
And what are they doing with it?
Tondra Eckhart going, don't tell me. Don't tell me this. Anyway.
Well, also they have the perception, if they go up and they've just been fined, people are the perception's gonna be like, well, you didn't deserve promotion. Yeah. That's
true. But then I suppose if they do go up, then what happens? Then you have to, like, not only do you hire, like, performance analysts, you now have to hire, like, your own spies, right? Like every Premier League club needs to have, like, like former MI5 agents who are just checking that.
Some student at Cambridge would get a tap on the shoulder from Matt Letizia or Jason Dodd going,
Rupert Lowe while we're at it.
Yeah. Oh, God. Anyway, that was the championship. We will see what happens with that, of course. Like they need to expedite the process because it's normally a 14-day process, but obviously that feels a bit too long to work out what to do with this. In League One, Stevenage 0, Stockport 1. Injury time winner for Ben Osborne. It's a very funny goal if you haven't seen it. It's not funny for Stevenage, but their centre-back trips on the ball twice at different parts of the game. A Stockport player falls over, so all the Stevenage fans cheer, and then the Stevenage defender trips over, and then Ben Osborne just puts it in. Bolton beat Bradford 1-0. Could have been 2 at least, but they have an advantage in League 2. Salford won 2-1 at Grimsby, and Chesterfield missed a penalty and lost 1-0 at home to Notts County. To the playoff final at Wembley for the National League. Rochdale, if you remember, were second on 160 points. God, that would be sad, wouldn't it? Okay, second on that. 106 points. And then they had that ridiculous final day against York. They had a playoff final against Boreham Wood. They were 2-0 down, equalised in the 97th minute. I think it was the same guy who scored the header against York. It was scored in the 97th minute. Rochdale didn't invade the pitch, which is probably lucky. And then they won on penalties. But I don't know if you've seen the highlights, anyone. It was, it was amazing, Barry.
Well, it's like you say, a 97th minute equaliser. Dizirue nodded home across, sparked jubilation, obviously, among the Rochdale fans. They had a chance to win it in extra time, didn't take it, and then won it pretty comfortably on penalties. I think Boreham Wood missed 3. There was a player for Boreham Wood, Abdul Malik. I think he was outstanding, budget Jeremy Doku, I would say. That's probably being unkind to him, but he was the standout player on the pitch and didn't deserve to be on the losing team. But, life isn't fair, is it?
No, it isn't. Women's FA Cup semi-finals were also both incredibly exciting, Robyn. You were at Chelsea Man City. Chelsea 2 up with 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, and then they ended up losing. So yeah, it was great. And before that, Liverpool were 2-0 up, and Brighton won 3-2 right in the last minute. So yeah, really dramatic day. And the big thing is that Bunny Shaw, who Manchester City look like they're going to lose, she's their record scorer. She's an incredible striker, and don't know the ins and outs, but basically mismanagement from Man City. They've let her contract run down. Believe she wanted to stay, but Chelsea look like they're in pole position to sign her because they're offering her a longer term deal as well as more money. And she was the one who put Chelsea out, so she scored the equaliser, sent it to extra time, and then she scored the winner. So yeah, again, just these storylines just make it even more compelling. But yeah, 2 really great semi-finals.
Chelsea offering a long contract is surprising to hear, isn't it? And she took both her goals. She took both her goals really well there. Yes, Philippe?
Yeah, and we haven't mentioned it. She's been voted the Women's Footballer of the Year, and there was no controversy. I think that was a plebiscite, basically. That she's just been absolutely amazing.
Obviously, Guardian Women's Football Weekly out tomorrow, so listen to that, subscribe to it. It's great. Philippe, Sid's on tomorrow to talk about Barcelona beating Real Madrid, Rashford scoring, then winning La Liga. You wanted to talk about that and the Kylian Mbappe petition for him to go because he went on a mini break to Sardinia and I suppose some other things.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, it's just absolutely ridiculous. The fact is, what really concerns me about this petition, which has now got something like 73 million signatures, is that it's been given an awful lot of acreage and space in the media, and in people who should know better about what's going on. It's an absolute scandal what's going on here, which has been launched by a few people. There aren't 72 million people who have signed this petition. It's all done with bots and AI. And the fact that it's taken seriously is indicative of a serious problem in the way we cover news. It's absolute bollocks. The whole petition thing is bollocks. The people who have signed are not verified. The whole operation probably just cost a few €100 just to set up everything. Because believe me, no petition has ever required, for anything, has ever required that type of number of signatures in such a short space of time. And the problem is that, we can dismiss it because it's ludicrous. It's utterly ludicrous. But the problem is that it's not being dismissed. And it's all, if you do a search, if you look at the websites, if you look at the papers, it's everywhere and taken seriously. It shouldn't be. It's utter bollocks.
I understand, but does anyone really take petitions seriously? Like, there are so many petitions for everything, and you think, wow, this is all bullshit. I mean, like who is, even
this
if
is Real
Mark
Madrid.
Or whoever are reporting on it? Yeah.
This is Real Madrid. So it has consequences as well on the player. And I'm not saying that because I'm a huge fan of Kylian Mbappe, about whom I've written a terrific book, which is just out and which you can find in all decent bookshops. But it is being taken seriously because the headlines are 70 at the beginning, like 2 million people demand Mbappe being sold, which becomes 25, becomes 72, 75. And it's taken seriously. It's a degradation in the way that we cover news, basically, which I find very concerning. I'm sure it's water for ducks back when it comes to Kylian himself. He doesn't care about that. And the Real Madrid people, that's not exactly what they're going to base any decision on. But the fact is, somebody is able to create all these bots, use fake email addresses, and find whatever they're doing, this campaign, becoming a top news item absolutely everywhere, and being taken seriously by an awful lot of people who don't understand how this can be put together. And I think that is really concerning, yeah.
Well, we'll do more with Sid on that tomorrow, but that'll do for today. Managed to get through a lot. Well done, everybody. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Cheers, Robyn.
Thanks, Max.
Merci, Monsieur Auclair. Bon chance for Arsenal, etc.
De rien, Monsieur Rushden. Thank you very much.
So it's nice that you were the one who forgot to speak French rather than me in that moment. I enjoyed that tremendously.